Now before we start putting the classic case build back together, we need to address one issue. And this issue was partially caused by me and partially caused by age. And I had replaced this fan in this 200 watt power supply that came out of the classic case. I can put a little montage in, but basically I replaced the fan with one that I got off of eBay that was also a 2-wire fan. I just clipped off the end and swapped it out, also putting it in backwards. Unfortunately, when I got it all put back together and powered it on, the fan in this power supply was louder than this particular fan that was actually damaged. So we're going to replace that and fix the problem permanently. To do this, we're going to go with the Noctua Redux industrial fans. This is an 80mm unit. The difference between the two is quite significant. The fan that I picked out of here, just the cheap one that I wasn't thinking about saying, hey, I need a fan, I need 2 wires. It offers 43 CFM, spins at 2800 RPM with a noise level of 31 decibels, which is actually pretty darn terrible. The Noctua fan pushes 31 CFM once I did the conversion. It spins at 1800 RPM and has a noise ceiling of 17.1 decibels. Now I've reviewed quite a few Noctua devices, fans, heatsinks on hardwareasylum.com. I will put a link down in the show notes. You can go and check them out. I love their products. They're great. So let's go ahead and get this power supply apart once again. I will swap over the fan, swap over the fan tail, put it back together, and then we can start assembling the classic case build. Generally speaking, you shouldn't need to take power supplies apart. There are some dangerous components inside, some capacitors, transformers, and whatnot. They can hurt you quite badly and might even reset the space-time continuum. So you want to make sure that it's not plugged in. You've discharged the capacitors by turning on the power switch. This one has sat for about a week, so there should not be any electrical charge in here at all. Taking it apart is pretty straightforward. This particular design is a clamshell where we have a top cover that is held in place with 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and it slides back this direction over top of the wires. That was the biggest challenge. But once you get the screws loose and this pulled apart, you just push the wires back through and it will separate. These Noctua fans are designed as case fans, which is why you get an extra long tail. We got the 3 pins at the end. We get some screws. That's about it. Here's the new fan. The typical Noctua design. This is one that they've had for quite a while. Here we have our Noctua fan with the appropriate tail so that we can install it in our power supply. That is much better. It still flows a good amount of air, so that it should be able to vent the chassis and the power supply, make sure everything is properly cooled, and not make a whole lot of noise. The whole reason for the power supply refurb was, one, to make it quieter, and also so that I could get some power to test the LED display that's on the front panel of the classic case. This display is your standard 2-digit 7-segment display. If you flip it over, we have the normal complement of jumpers, which will control what the segments do. And we have a couple of transistors here. This is the wiring so that you can enable the turbo switch and get some power in there. And we have a bunch of resistors right here to control the 7-segment display. When connecting these up, you need to make sure the polarity is correct, otherwise you could fry the display and all the electronics. Now I have the power supply hooked up to a switch outside of the bezel, and that's hooked into a power strip in the back over there. Make sure not to touch this when the power is on. So let's fire it up and see what it looks like. Turn that on, and there we go. We have a pretty 40 on the display. That's going to be 40 megahertz for this particular motherboard. And now let's go into non-turbo mode. Basically put a jumper across here, and now we have a 20. Now I am surprised that these didn't light up any brighter, but it is slightly better than it was. You can at least read it now. Interesting thing, if you jump across here, it gets brighter. If we take it off, it's not. On, brighter, off, not. So there's not necessarily a problem with this transistor or the connection, but something in line, likely one of these resistors here, is a little weak in sending a signal to the transistor. I might continue to look into it, but we have a little bit brighter segment, which is great. So I can reassemble the front panel. And now that it's back installed, let's just do a quick power test. As you can see here, we got 40 megahertz. The turbo light is on, which is the way that it should work. And of course, if we hit the turbo switch, it should be switching down to 20 and turn that light off. But it won't do that until we have it hooked up to the motherboard.